So in all these locations, I kept the profile as this secret key and access key was stored inside this machine. So that's not a good way to access it. There's another method that you can use to associate credentials with the PowerShell commands that you are running. And that's the method we are going to use throughout this lab series. In that case, what we are going to do is to associate a profile with an EC2 instance and then provide credentials through that. So if I go to this PowerShell command, let's close it to make sure there's nothing stored. Let's close everything. If I go into PowerShell and if I type get S3 bucket, it's of course going to give access denied error because it doesn't have any credentials stored either as a profile or as a any other method. To make sure that these credentials are not valid, I can go to my AWS console. So this is the user I created. So if I go into IAM, I have the user that I created, my test user. I can delete this user here completely. Alternatively, I can go to the user and go to security credentials. I can make this access key disable or make it inactive, or I can directly delete this access key. So nobody will have access to that. For the moment, I don't need this user, so let's delete this user so that you are confident that there's no way that somebody can access through this user. And if I go into my S3 bucket, so this information is no longer needed. So of course, if I execute this S3 bucket, it will still give the access denied error. So let's close this and let's see how we can execute the same command and still get access through EC2 instance profile. If I go into my EC2 section, so throughout this lab series, I was running my commands through the dev machine. So if you go into the running instances, so this is the machine that I was running these commands, and it has a IAM role called DevOps dev machine role. So if I go into that, you can find that that has some permissions, Amazon EC2 role for SSM, but this is something that we attach already. But if we attach a policy, let's search for a manage policy S3 full access, and then attach the policy. Any command running inside this EC2 instance will have S3 full access. So if I go into my dev machine, so this is the dev machine. Now it has this role, and this role has S3 full access. So if I go into my command and then type get S3 bucket, without any issue, you got the S3 list of buckets available in my S3. There's no access credential stored in this machine. There's no any profile stored, but it got this permission through the instance profile. Where this comes handy is that you can have a build machine with a build agent, and you can attach permissions to the build machine to deploy software. For example, if you have some PowerShell command that you want to execute to release a software to AWS service, and imagine that you are running it in this build machine, you can attach those permissions into the IAM role, and any command that you are running inside that will have access to the AWS services that you have specified in the permission section of this IAM role. So that's how you use instance profile to give permissions to the commands that you are running.